One thing that really confused me when I first started producing was layering sounds. I was stacking loads of sounds on top of each other and wondering, like, why doesn't it sound fat? Why doesn't it sound great? There's not that many great tutorials on the internet either for stacking lead sounds in EDM, so I thought I'd make one, and hopefully this can help you out a bit. Here's a track. So that's gone. We released that on Armada last year. If we break the lead down, it's made up of a few layers. I think one thing that I've already mentioned really is making sure that the layers don't clash. Like, it's no good just stacking a load of super saws on top of each other and just wondering why it sounds horrible. So if you listen to those, they're all kind of very individual in their own right. They all have a place in the mix and a place in the stereo field. The main one's this one. It's just a saw really. Yeah, so we've just done some light EQ on there, just rolling off the lows, and yeah, it's just a vandalism patch. There's a light bit of reverb on there, and brought down the sustain and the decay and that sort of stuff. So it's like a plucky lead sound then. Next sound is, it's also quite plucky, which helps just like drive home the melody. Just rolled off the highs, and it's EDM 3. It's just a basic preset. Just again dropping the sustain and the release, just so it's a bit plucky, and it really drives home the melody. Together they sound so pretty clean really. There's not much processing on the individual channels. It's just it's good old-fashioned saws. Next one's this one, a bell sort of sound. Silence again. We've just got like an auto pan, an EQ, that sort of stuff. The auto pan really helps, I think, on lead sounds, because it really spreads the sound throughout the stereo field and really widens a particular sound in your mix. The next one is, it's a trancey sound. We've used this quite a lot actually. I think it's actually from the Silence Factory Bank. Yeah, Sid Mon. We've just taken the reverb off. What else have we done? Moved the release up a bit. And I think that might be about it really. We've just lightly EQ'd out some frequencies we don't like, boosted some frequencies we do like, and it's just a really nice layer under the whole lead. I mean, strings are one thing I really would advise if you're making sort of progressive or most genres of dance. I mean, they don't necessarily have to be loud, but they just can add so much like warmth to a saw sound or any lead sound. they don't necessarily have to be the driving force of your lead, but I think if you just widen them like we have here, I think originally we put some processing on them before we flatten them, and they just sit in the mix so nicely. This one's quite interesting actually. I know you can get transients in silence on certain synthesizers and stuff like that, but if you actually like get a sample like this one's a guncock, I think. So but what it means is you've got like real control over how loud you want a particular clicky transient in your mix to be. I think it's a nice technique. This one is this one's doing a lot of the work. There's quite a lot of reverb on there, that's just Ableton stock reverb. Not much EQ. Most of the EQ has been done inside silence, I think, and this one as well is sort of adding to that sort of big reverb trancy feel of the track. It's just a really standard Nexus preset. We've not actually really done much to that at all. It's just sort of there for the ambience. It's something I really like doing is being able to control the reverb in your lead sound, and something you definitely can do. I don't know if it's advised, but it's always worked for me. Is just really sort of think, do I need reverb on this particular sound? If all the sounds sort of gel together and some of them have reverb and some of them don't, then that's a bonus, because then you can really sort of control where you want the reverb to be a lot easier than if you just bus it or something like that. So that's all the leads playing together. But one thing I think people get confused about when looking for these tutorials is, and something I wanted to explain, is the backing. I kind of think when people are asking how do they layer leads, what they're really wanting the answer for is how do they make their backing sound better. Because the lead sound is pretty standard. It's just saws. It's just it's always going to be saws, or it's always going to be squares. You can automate different parameters and stuff, but it's EDM. You can drop a bit of vibrato here and there, but that's about it. If you notice as well, on our bus we really don't have that much processing going down. We just got some EQs, just taking out the frequencies we don't like, drop the lows, some compression and stuff like that. But the real secret is marrying your lead sound to your backing sound. That way you've got the most amount of space for your lead sound in your mix, and it really shines through, I think. So how do you layer leads? Don't over process them, because if you over process them they'll start to get thin, and unless you really know the plugins you're using, you can just be so destructive with over processing stuff, and it's going to sound horrible. If you pick the right sort of presets, the right sounds to begin with, then you don't need to process it that much. Make sure you're layering sounds that sort of sound different as well. It's no good just stacking a load of super saws on top of each other and saying, why does this sound horrible? You need to find sounds that work together and make sure they have their own space in the mix. But yeah, I guess that's about it. If you've got any more questions, just fire them to our Facebook, facebook.com/adventurerdj. Yeah, thanks guys.